The battlefield stretches before you like a sea of uncertainty, infinite and merciless. The wind carries the acrid smell of turned earth, the metal and sweat of past battles. Each grain of dust swirls around your feet as if to remind you that nothing in this world is still, nothing is certain. Two warriors advance, silent, their sabers gleaming in the harsh sunlight, revealing the rigidity of discipline and the precision of gesture. But observe carefully, the fight does not begin with the sword. It begins in the gaze, in the silent intensity of the mind. Miyamoto Musashi said, "The battle is won before it has even crossed swords." The warrior who trembles inwardly is already defeated, even if his blade is the sharpest. Today, your battlefield may not be a stretch of red earth saturated with blood, but it is just as demanding, just as merciless. It is made up of invisible trials, silent humiliations, unexpected rejections, and decisions that shape your honor. Every word you speak, every gesture you make, every choice you ignore or accept becomes an offense or a defense in this silent war. What would you do if your honor depended on a single gesture? If your dignity rested on the steadfastness of your spirit and not on the fear of adversity? Look around you. Visible enemies are superficial compared to the strengths you carry within. Fear, doubt, impatience, and haste are more powerful adversaries than any samurai or soldier you could face. As on a real battlefield, anticipation and vigilance are essential. Every breath must be controlled, every movement calibrated, every decision weighed as if it could change the course of history. Sun Tzu taught, "Victory belongs to the one who patiently awaits the enemy's error." But here, the most dangerous enemy is often the one you carry in your mind. Listen to the silence before the fight. Feel the tension in the air, the rhythm of your own heart beating like a drum announcing war. Anticipation is your ally, haste your worst enemy. The true warrior understands that mastery of the outer stems from mastery of the inner. Outward gestures, even the most spectacular, are empty without inner discipline. Standing your ground in the face of the storm, even when the whole world seems intent on breaking you, is a silent and absolute victory. Every step you take is a decision, every breath an affirmation of your presence and strength. The shadows of the battlefield stretch out like specters, each shape becoming a symbol of the invisible obstacles in your life. The judgment of others, the fear of rejection, the pressure of time. Vigilance is not just physical, it is mental. Every thought, every doubt, every hesitation must be observed, analyzed, and neutralized before it becomes a weapon against yourself. Imagine that every opponent you face is a manifestation of your own limitations. Their strength, their speed, their precision are reflections of what you fear within yourself. Every blow dodged, every move anticipated is a lesson about yourself, about your patience, your focus, your ability to remain calm when everything seems to be falling apart. Mastery comes not only from the experience of external combat, but from the intimate understanding of your own mind. The wind continues to whip your face and dust seeps into every crack, reminding you that chaos is omnipresent. In this storm, you must remain centered, like a tree with deep roots, immobile and resilient despite the gusts. True strength lies in this ability to remain steadfast, to choose your actions with precision, and never give in to panic or fear. Every conscious breath is an act of discipline, every firm decision an act of courage. Look once more at your battlefield. The swords glitter, but they will not determine victory. It is your mind, sharp, clear, and unwavering, that will make the difference. External enemies are only reflections of what already exists within you. Learn to see them for what they are: tests, challenges, mirrors of your latent courage. Musashi taught that anticipation and focus surpass brute strength. A warrior who understands this truth advances with certainty, calm, and relentlessness. With every step, feel the gravity of your choices. Every look, every silence, every movement is a decision about who you are and what you will become. The responsibility is immense, but it is also liberating. It reminds you that you control your mind and, by extension, your victories. Tumult may reign around you, but inner peace is your invisible sword, slicing through illusions and fears before they even reach your heart. Thus, the external struggle, though visible, is only a projection of the internal duel. The trials of the world become a theater where your mind is put to the test, where every gesture counts, where every decision can be decisive. Being a warrior is not just about facing an enemy. It is about facing each moment with the clarity, precision, and courage of a perfectly honed mind. Your greatest adversary is not in front of you. He doesn't wear shining armor. He doesn't brandish a sword. He is invisible, silent, lurking in the recesses of your mind. The fear that freezes you, the doubt that creeps into your thoughts, the complacency that deadens your potential, these are the true enemies. Every time you refuse to face one of them, you retreat from yourself. Yamamoto Tsunetomo wrote in the Hagakure, "If you are ready to die at any moment, you will be free." But this death is not that of the body. It is symbolic. Dying means leaving behind the old version of yourself. Your excuses, your pride, your distractions, your habits that weaken you. Imagine for a moment your mind as a dojo. Every thought is a potential adversary, every emotion a silent attack, every habit a test of your courage. How many times have you died today only to be reborn stronger? The question is not rhetorical. Every moment you choose to confront yourself, to face your discomfort and fear, is a small victory, a precise dodge against the invisible assaults that seek to hinder you. Musashi said, "Training is not simply a repetition of gestures, it is the confrontation with oneself in every moment." Your weaknesses don't wear badges. They hide behind procrastination, behind indecision, behind the distractions that seduce you to better divert you from your potential. They don't shout, they don't strike violently. They attack subtly, insidiously, and you can only overcome them by recognizing them, by observing them with uncompromising honesty. Every time you identify laziness, doubt, or excess pride, and refuse to let it control you, you sharpen your courage. Examine your habits, your thoughts, your reactions like a strategist analyzes his inner battlefield. Where do you falter? Where do you hesitate? What automatic responses betray your commitment to yourself? Therein lies the most important battle, the one you wage without witnesses, in the silence of your mind. Every moment you refuse to give in to ease or comfort is a blow to your inner enemies. Victory over yourself opens the way to all external victories. Your pride, for example, can be a double-edged sword. It drives you to excel, but if left unchecked, it blinds you and condemns you to repeat the same mistakes. Fear, on the other hand, can paralyze your actions, prevent you from making decisive decisions, and root you to the spot in the face of life's challenges. Complacency lulls you to sleep, blinding you to your potential and the opportunities that present themselves. Recognizing these enemies, naming them in your mind, observing them without judgment, is the first step toward neutralizing them. Now imagine your mind as a silent battlefield. The adversaries are invisible but powerful. Each one tests your resolve, your courage, and your lucidity. The inner battle is more demanding than any outer battle. For in it, there are no sabers, no protections, no physical limits. There is only you facing yourself in the strict truth of your being. Every hesitation, every distraction, every excuse is a potential setback. And yet, every moment you choose to remain vigilant, focused, and committed is an invisible but irrevocable victory. Musashi, again, teaches us that mental training is a constant confrontation. It is not enough to repeat gestures or kata, you must confront your own mind, probe your fears, dissect your doubts, understand what is holding you back. This confrontation is never over. Even the greatest warrior, even the wisest strategist, must renew this battle every day, every hour, every minute. The inner enemy is patient, cunning, persistent. In this silent duel, the key is awareness. Observe your reactions, note your behaviors, analyze your impulses and choices. Every mistake becomes a lesson, every failure an opportunity to be reborn stronger, clearer, more in control of yourself. Your victories are not measured by the recognition of others, but by the strength of your mind. Inner freedom begins when you stop running from your own shadows. Every thought you refuse to let rule you, every impulse you control, every fear you face is a silent act of courage. The inner battle is not visible, but it shapes everything you do. It determines the strength of your commitment, the depth of your discernment, and the clarity of your decisions. Recognize your weaknesses, confront them, and forge a spirit that nothing can shake. The enemy is not outside. It is within you. But victory, too, lies within you. Every day, choose to fight for the strongest, most lucid, and boldest version of yourself. A warrior without strategy is nothing more than a moving target in the chaos of the world. He may be fast, strong, and skilled with his sword, but without a clear plan, every move becomes predictable, every decision a weakness to be exploited. Sun Tzu taught, "Know your enemy and know yourself, and you will never be in danger." This maxim, though formulated in the context of war, is a universal principle that applies to all battles of existence, seen or unseen. Musashi added, "Observe what others do not see." He was not just talking about combat tactics, but about a broader vision, a keen perception of the strengths and weaknesses of oneself and others. True combat is not made of swords and spears, but of plans, silence, and discernment. Mental strategy is the ability to map the invisible, to anticipate, predict, and control the flow of events before they even appear on the surface. Have you truly mapped your own mind? Do you know the corners where your weaknesses hide, the places where laziness and indecision find refuge, the traps set by your impatience and impulsiveness? Every unexamined thought is an ambush, a terrain where your inner enemies can surprise you and divert you from your path. Mental victory is about setting traps for your own flaws before they turn against you, about transforming every weakness into a learning ground and every potential mistake into a strategic lesson. Imagine your mind as a battlefield. Every habit, every emotional reaction, every distraction is a potential adversary. Patience then becomes an invisible weapon, anticipation a shield, reflection a silent blade capable of cutting through illusions. Mental strategy is not just a matter of planning. It is a discipline of attention, observation, and lucidity. It requires you to be constantly aware of yourself, your strengths, and your limitations. Consider your impatience. It can be a driving force, but if left unchecked, it becomes a glaring weakness. Distraction, on the other hand, dissipates your mental energy and prevents concentration. Complacency dulls your vigilance and leaves you vulnerable. Recognizing these inner enemies and analyzing them thoroughly is the first step toward transforming them into tools. Every flaw can become leverage, every limitation a fulcrum. Mental strategy is an act of constant anticipation. It pushes you to ask yourself tough questions. Where are my vulnerabilities? What traps are my ego or emotions setting? What scenarios have I overlooked due to lack of focus or arrogance? Power lies in this analysis. Sun Tzu and Musashi taught that a clear, attentive mind can transform even the most disadvantageous situation into a sure victory. Observing what others don't see means seeing the subtle movements of your environment, anticipating others' reactions, and understanding the invisible flows of life. But above all, it means observing your own mind with the same rigor. Every doubt, every fear, every impulse can be analyzed as a move on the mental chessboard. Every deliberately controlled thought becomes a plan, every discerning decision becomes a strategy. Now imagine a moment where you are in the midst of chaos. External events are unpredictable, challenges arise without warning, and yet you remain motionless in your lucidity. This stability is not the result of chance, but the result of a refined mental strategy built through years of observation, anticipation, and reflection. Self-control, clarity in analysis, and patience in action are the pillars of this invisible victory. Every mental plane, every reflection on oneself, is a step toward mastery of the external world. War is not only that which is fought on the plains or in cities, but that which takes place in the silence of your mind. It is in this calm and this attention that true strength is born. The man or woman who understands this principle always acts with precision, control, and serenity, even in the midst of tumult. Mental strategy is also a constant exercise in self-questioning. Nothing is fixed, nothing is definitive. Every situation, every obstacle, every interaction is an opportunity to test your mind, revisit your assumptions, and adjust your plan. Flexibility, combined with discipline, creates an invisible but irresistible power. The true mental strategist is one who never lets himself be surprised by his own thoughts, who knows his reactions, foresees his weaknesses, and always acts with discernment. Every potential error is anticipated, every impulse is observed, every distraction is transformed into a learning experience. It is an art of lucidity, a training of the mind in which victory is never brutal, but subtle, silent, and total. Thus, mastering mental strategy means preparing for every situation before it even arises, transforming challenges into opportunities and obstacles into springboards. A clear and attentive mind becomes an invisible weapon capable of conquering what brute force could never achieve. Every samurai knew that the blade of the sword was nothing without the invisible blade of habit. A warrior's strength lies not only in his muscles, nor in the finesse of his technique, but in the meticulous attention paid to each gesture repeated thousands of times. The day begins before dawn, while the world still sleeps and darkness keeps its secrets. Rising before the sun is a ritual, not to impress, but to dominate oneself, to take control of one's time and one's mind. Each repeated movement, each precisely executed kata, each meditation in the cold forges steadfastness and resilience. Miyamoto Musashi is a living example of this philosophy. He didn't just wield a sword. He painted, sculpted, wrote, and meditated. Each of these activities was not a mere distraction. It sculpted his mind, sharpened it, made it adaptable and clear. His life was a living manual of discipline, showing that power is born not from physical strength alone, but from consistent excellence in every field. Body and mind must be trained together, each supporting the other, for a disciplined mind guides a disciplined body, and vice versa. Confucius said, "He who moves a mountain begins by moving small stones." Your daily habits are those stones. Simply getting up at the same time, eating mindfully, repeating an exercise, meditating for a few minutes each morning, builds an invisible but solid foundation. What do you do each day to shape your mind? What rituals do you observe to sharpen your inner katana before the outside world even tests you? Consistency, repetition, attention to detail are the true secret of lasting power. Every routine, every ritual, every silent discipline is a training exercise for the mind in the face of the unexpected. Modern life, with its distractions and urgencies, attempts to scatter our attention, break our habits, and make us reactive rather than strategic. But the samurai sees beyond superficial obstacles. He understands that greatness lies not in the spectacular, in the visible feat or the heroic gesture, but in daily perseverance. Every repeated act, however banal, is a victory over inconstancy, a stone added to the fortress of the mind. The ancient samurai knew that true power manifests itself not in the moments of observation, but in the silence of solitary hours. When no one is watching, what remains? Your habits, your commitment to yourself, the rigor with which you honor each task. Writing, painting, meditating, rehearsing kata, all these disciplines were seen as ways to strengthen the mind as much as the body. Musashi taught that every gesture performed with intention and repetition is a step towards self-mastery, a silent victory over the chaos within. Daily discipline transforms life into an orderly battlefield. Each morning, you can choose to follow your rituals or give in to distraction and inaction. Choosing consistency sharpens your mind for every future challenge. Your habits become your invisible armor, protecting your time, energy, and focus. Repetition and regularity aren't mere mechanical actions. They forge mental flexibility, a silent resilience, an invisible strength that manifests itself when the world tests you. Imagine the life of a samurai in feudal Japan. Weapons, arts, literature, meditation, daily rituals, all combined to create an unshakable spirit. Each of these elements was a tool, an exercise that prepared the warrior not only for combat, but for life itself. Today, your battles may be different, less bloody, but just as demanding. Work, relationships, moral choices, and personal decisions require the same rigor, the same daily discipline. Self-mastery comes through repeated action. Discipline forges freedom. For those who master their habits master their lives. Every gesture repeated with awareness is a stone laid on the path to inner freedom. Every morning you respect your ritual, every moment you choose effort over ease, every second you ignore distraction and affirm your intention becomes a victory over time and yourself. Even in times of fatigue, when the body protests and the mind wants to give in, discipline sets the pace, reminds us of responsibility, and builds endurance. The disciplined warrior doesn't wait for motivation to arrive. He creates motivation through habit, through consistency, through the simple act of getting up every day to repeat the ritual. Thus, daily discipline is both weapon and shield, guide and anchor. It is the process by which an ordinary mind becomes extraordinary. It transforms repetition into power, habit into freedom, and the everyday into a training ground for soul and body. Attention to detail, perseverance, regularity, these are the things that build silent invincibility. Every repeated action is an act of mastery over oneself and the world. The warrior understands that ultimate strength lies not only in the body or mind, but in alignment with the universe. The spiritual path is a silent one, where every breath, every thought, every gesture becomes a meditation. Musashi said, "The observation of life and death is the key to wisdom." To walk this path is to free oneself from illusions, attachments, and fears. It is to understand that true power is quiet, constant, invisible. Outward actions are reflections of inner harmony. Battles are lessons, trials are mirrors, and daily discipline is a bridge to awakening. Are you able to detach yourself from the tumult, to walk with the serenity of a mind mastering itself? Each moment of calm, each meditation, each introspection refines your discernment and brings you closer to true freedom. The warrior who walks the spiritual path transcends the ego, embraces clarity, and acts with a quiet power that inspires silently and strikes effortlessly.